Blessed Event is a pre-code comedy/drama from 1932. Lee Tracy stars as a cutthroat gossip columnist who will do anything to get a juicy story. He usually reports on high-profile people having blessed events out of wedlock. A blessed event refers to having a baby. After one too many reports, some shady characters take it upon themselves to try to rub Tracy out. However, Tracy catches wind of this and goes ahead printing more stories anyway. This film is a pre-code fan's delight. It's got snappy dialogue, a risque premise, memorable side characters, and a lead who balances a fine line between moral and immoral. And let's talk about Tracy's character, because he's easily the most interesting part of the film. On one hand, he's destroying people's reputations in order to make a profit, but on the other, these people aren't necessarily honest citizens. In one case, Tracy reports on a gangster who is untouchable by the law. It's clear Tracy feels this guy's a despicable character and deserves public ridicule. So we're kind of on Tracy's side when he wants to print the gossip. Even more so when the gangster sends a thug to tell Tracy that if he doesn't cut it out, they'll bump him off. Which leads to one of the best scenes in the film. Like I said, a thug, played by Jenkins, comes into Tracy's office and threatens to kill him if he prints a story on his gangster boss. Tracy thinks fast and tricks Jenkins into confessing to a past crime into a phonograph. He immediately tells Jenkins what he did and describes death by electric chair in graphic detail. Of course, Jenkins recants his threat, but Tracy's tactics don't stop there. He then convinces Jenkins to work for him as another one of his informers. By the end of the scene, you're just like Jenkins, thinking, what the heck just happened? But I say that in the best possible way. Yeah, if you couldn't tell by now, Lee Tracy is the performance I'm highlighting in this. Tracy was always an actor whom I underestimated, but as I get older and see more of his work, I realize he was a better actor than I thought, and I think this film is the pinnacle of his talent. Tracy was known for his sharp tongue and uses it to astounding degrees here. He's never without a quick response or witty retort. He manages to make every line sound funny and one-up everyone who tries to put him down. But honestly, he doesn't even need to speak to be funny. There's plenty of visual gags, and Tracy's timing is fantastic. It's an element of his that people often overlook because he's so good at reciting rapid-paced dialogue, but Tracy also knows when to hold his tongue. There are some dramatic moments of the film where Tracy doesn't say anything. His silence during these parts speak volumes, because they make a character who does nothing but talk become speechless. These reactions feel organic and make him feel like a real person. For me, it's the perfect balance. Part of why I think he's so strong in this part is because it's a variation of his seminal role as Hildy Johnson from the stage play The Front Page. You see, Tracy got his start on Broadway. He scored big in the late 20s by appearing in the plays Broadway and The Front Page. The Front Page was the bigger hit for Tracy, as everyone praised his performance. However, even with all the notoriety, it wasn't enough to get him cast in the 1931 movie adaptation by Howard Hughes. They cast Pat O'Brien instead. The Front Page was famously remade/retooled as His Girl Friday, with Rosalind Russell playing the female version of the Lee Tracy character. Although there's a part of me that really wishes his performance as Hildy Johnson was captured on film for future generations to see, there is no shortage of movies where Lee Tracy plays fast-talking reporters. Tracy was in a steady flow of movies throughout the 1930s, but once the 1940s came, he shifted his focus to radio and was even one of the first stars to enter the new medium of television, starring in TV productions as far back as 1949. He took film roles sparingly, but for his last performance playing the President in The Best Man, he was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. He lost to Peter Ustinov. Even at the end of his career, Tracy proved that he could still give a great performance. Besides Tracy, the best part of the film is the script. Not only is it snappy, well-paced, and full of colorful characters, but it does an excellent job balancing the funny moments with the more tragic ones. A lot of early sound films attempted this blend, but they usually came across as disjointed. This film does a great job handling its tone and makes rewatching it a pleasure. The film is based off a Broadway play of the same name, so that probably accounts for the quality of the script. The writers were inspired by some real-life personalities when writing the story. Lee Tracy's character is said to be based off of Walter Winchell, and yeah, I see it. Dick Powell, in his film debut, plays a crooner who was based off of entertainer Rudy Valley and bandleader Ben Burney, whom had a fake feud with Winchell over the radio. Honestly though, Powell doesn't really do much in this film, but it was a big enough hit to launch his career. The rest of the cast overshadows Powell and had more of my attention. This is a powerhouse cast of supporting players, who would all go on to appear in many more films. Mary Bryan plays a reporter that also happens to be Tracy's love interest, and funny enough, she played the love interest for Hildy Johnson's character in the movie version of The Front Page. Her and Tracy work off each other very well, and it's a delight whenever they're on screen together. Another standout is Ruth Donnelly, as Tracy's no-nonsense secretary. Honestly, she might be my favorite character. I know I just praised Lee Tracy's character, but the little she does in the film leaves a big impact. The way she plays off Tracy is hilarious. Her reactions say it all. Isabell Jewell and Jenkins are both fantastic in their roles, and interestingly, they're the only two actors to reprise their roles from the original Broadway play. Like Powell, this film would help launch their film careers, but another connection I found was that not only was Jenkins in the original Broadway version of this, but he was also in the original Broadway version of The Front Page with Lee Tracy. Dang, I did not expect to find this many connections between The Front Page and Blessed Event. Even though this film is based off a play, it isn't filmed like one. That was a pitfall of many films of this period. Filmmakers felt the need to shoot scenes in constant wides, and churned out movies that looked flat and kinda boring. With this film, there are some great compositions. It helps make these simple spaces seem more exciting than they really are. So if you're a Pre-Code fan or want to see Lee Tracy play a version of one of the most famous Broadway characters, then I highly recommend Blessed Event.